Okay, let's begin. Viktor Gyokeres. I've been an Arsenal fan for a long time. I've watched all sorts of things come and go, ranging from, I don't know, Ozil changing our club, Bentner being Bentner, Walcott being English and then therefore vastly overrated. But hey, he made up the numbers. Oxlade-Chamberlain, come and go, and it's sad to see what's happened to him over the years. And now it's come to this. Viktor Gyokeres. I have sat and I have watched inordinate amounts of YouTube and read all sorts of things accordingly, as one does when researching and supporting the club and becoming excited and then disillusioned, and now frankly completely fed up with the whole ridiculous scenario. What you're doing with this, and I'm speaking now directly to Arsenal as a entity, is you are boring and infuriating the fan base at the same time. You are boring and infuriating the fan base at the same time. And I said that twice because I feel it needed, I mean, if I was writing it, I would put it in bold, underline it, and probably add exclamation marks. I have never in all of my time encountered such a pathetic display, in all fairness, with regards to what's going on here. And I don't just mean the way which it's dragged on. That is, I can kind of understand to a point that you want to negotiate with X and Y as your priorities for your add-ons and such like and things, to try and scrimp and squeeze those last couple of £1 million out. But in all seriousness, it just seems pretty pathetic from the outside. I don't know. It's unfortunate, the Madueke effect, which is becoming a terminology now, a terminological expression. The Madueke effect. What's happened is initially the Arsenal fans like myself didn't really understand why we were buying him, because Ranieri should be, given his performances, the person backing Saka. The idea of someone else coming in, like Madueke, and reducing the amount of time that Ranieri gets, it felt distasteful. And then the figure of £50-odd million came up, and distasteful doesn't seem quite the sort of word for it. It's not strong enough. It felt dirty, if I'm really honest with you. And for me, it was just grim. You're taking away the opportunity from someone who had earned their right to be there, while at the same time, and this is the thing, the delays over Gyökeres over what, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million pounds worth of add-ons, whilst you're prepared to lay out 50 odd million pounds for a player we really don't necessarily need. And I think almost everyone's agreed, unless he plays out on the left-hand side as backup stroke replacement for Martinelli, which would be strange because we're looking at the idea supposedly of Rodrigo being that backup stroke replacement. Well, he's not going to be a backup for Martinelli, is he? He's going to be the direct replacement. And to be fair, that would be doable given Martinelli's relative absence last season. That would be fine. I could see that. But that's not what it looks like it's going to happen there. It looks like that Madueke, irrespective of where he plays now, it doesn't matter now. What you've done is, as a club, you've given out £50 million to someone who we really don't think, to a rival incidentally as well, a rival who we really don't think we need this player. It's not to say he's a bad player. I don't have an issue with him as a player. I have an issue with all of the bigger picture, where it's been weeks now. There was an entertaining thing with one of the pizza outlets who turned around and said they'd delivered X amount of million pizzas in the time it had taken for United to for United to buy Mbeumo. I thought that was hilarious. But it didn't half sting because the thing with Gyökeres is almost exactly the same. But United hadn't spent an extra 50 mil on another player at the same time. They've gone out, they've bought Mbeumo. Someone who, to be honest with you, again, I would have quite happily taken at Arsenal. Along with Vissa, to be fair. Eze, I would absolutely take at Arsenal. And if we miss out on him because, say, Chelsea go out and use the money which we've spent on Madueke to be able to fund that, that's not just going to leave a nasty taste in the mouth. It's going to leave me wanting to bleach all my shirts. It's grim. And it's also indescribably unprofessional, if I'm honest, from my point of view. Because we've been crying out for the striker since before the dawn of time. You know. And if the problem is that if Gyökeres then turns out to actually be Francis Jeffers in disguise, and we all know how that went, the fox in the box. Oh yes, he was marvellous. Then not only are we going to have massive amounts of egg on our face, we will have gifted the opportunity to, whilst I know most people don't like it, but the World Club Football Champions, blah, 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 Chelsea, we've just lobbed them another 50 million quid. I should probably have introduced myself. This is my first video on here. My name is Alistair. I am, as you can possibly tell by my delicate dulcet tones, not from London. I am an Arsenal fan because my old man was an Aberdeen fan. And the red JVC shirt looked like an Arsenal shirt. And thus, everybody down south in England saw JVC, red shirt, assumed it was Arsenal, and it was just easier to go with it. That's a long time ago now. But it stuck with me all the way through my life. I have been an Arsenal fan since as long as I remember football existing. And again, as you can probably tell by the beard and hair, it's been a while. I mean, this shirt is older than probably most of the people watching this, which is nice. It's certainly, I mean, what? I have shirts, several shirts, which are old enough to drink. And if they had any sort of anthropomorphical idea, they probably would, given some of these sagas which are going on. I know I've done so, much to my liver's chagrin, shall we say. Yeah, enough about that. So yes, I find myself now living in the West Midlands and surrounded by Wolves fans and Villa fans and West Brom fans, all of whom are really enjoying this protracted load of nonsense which has gone on far, far too long. Something big was due to happen, they said, with the whole Facebook status thing. What was it, 24 hours ago? We knew it was going to be the shirt release, which is actually quite a nice shirt, although I have to say, having looked at it, the replica shirt is an awful lot better than the player shirt. The player shirt looks completely washed out. The replica shirt, not so much. I am aware of the flicker on here. I'm doing this on a mobile phone rather than on a proper camera. I'm hoping for content rather than quality, which keeps you completely absorbed with my massively mirthful monologue. Yeah. So I'm stuck here. I was actually at the game 5 years ago in Wolverhampton, I think it was now. Where we were 3-0 down after 40 minutes, and I'm in the away end with inordinate amounts of my friends serenading me with their delightful, what's the word I'm looking for? Melodic? No, that's not right. Their delightful voices, let's leave it at that. And then for 2 years afterwards, I had to endure the stick. I'm getting similar at the moment, because we are a laughing stock at the way which this has gone. I don't understand why, because this is this important, we do not just go, right, bang, 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 done. We've shown we can do it. We've done it with the goalie. We've done it with the Brentford captain. Zubamendi was sorted out again, probably sometime about 5 months ago from what we can work out. Gyökeres, this should have been, could have been done much, much better. Could have been handled much better. And the fans, quite rightly, when you've just released yet another shirt which you're looking at £120 for, and a ridiculous price for a season ticket, not that you can get one, or again, tickets. It's easier for me to get away tickets than what it is to get home tickets. Substantially easier. I was at the Leicester game with Marino doing his best impression of a striker, and doing it well, to be fair. Yeah, I was at that game. I was at the Wolves game as well last year. I was actually at the Bayer Leverkusen one for the Emirates Cup, which wasn't an Emirates Cup, but was to go and say goodbye to Xhaka, who now looks like he may end up back here again in the Premier League, which would be one heck of a signing for whomsoever it was who was getting them. And I'm sat here at 2 o'clock in the morning, having watched the kit release rubbish. It's a nice kit, but that's not important. We don't care. Most of us will probably buy the shirt anyway through force of habit. It shouldn't be about that. It shouldn't be about force of habit. It should be about passion. It should be about supporting the team. It should be about getting behind the team. But with all of this, what's happened is you've lost an awful lot of support. And you've lost an awful lot of supporters. Again, what's the word I'm looking for? Engagement. We are now at the point where it's actually so drawn out and so convoluted that it's almost worth watching it disappear down the Swanee and walking away from it. Because at least then we'll never know whether or not he would have been any good for us. It's gallows humour. I'm sitting there and looking at it and going, this is terrible. Is the ends going to justify all of the last, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 weeks? It better had. Otherwise, you've done your brand no favours. You've done the supporters no favours. And the feeling which we had as we came into this transfer window of hope and excitement and anticipation has drawn out now into disdain, anger, disappointment, and that feeling of impending almost resignation that this is going to be the same as last year and the year before, where promise was seen to be there and then was taken away. And it might cost the manager his job. It might cost the club vast swathes of supporters, which is harder to say than it sounds. Because of this, because of the way which it's been handled. And whilst Arsenal is a corporate identity, what they need to remember is that identity is sustained by people purchasing and investing in the club. You're making it really difficult to invest in the club with your behaviour surrounding the Gyökeres deal or Gyökeres deal. And I think that's important to be acknowledged. And I know that football's a fickle thing, and maybe if he knocks in 25, 30 goals this season, we will have all forgotten this. And my impassioned rant in the style of Gary Neville with his, whatever it was, Super League, European Super League. And this spectacular soliloquy. This will all be forgotten if that's what he does. But that's an awful lot of ifs. And we know how this goes. If Saliba had stayed fit, we won the league 2 years ago. If almost all of our squad had stayed fit, we might have won the league, or we should have at least given Liverpool a try last year. Or gone at PSV a little bit. PSG, sorry. A little bit. I mean, I seem to remember we did do PSG. Yeah. But at this moment in time, at stupid o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday morning in the middle of July, you're making it really hard to love the club. And you're making it really hard to be an Arsenal supporter watching this go on whilst other clubs act in a way which is more professional, more succinct, and more embodying what we as a club should be doing and what we think we are. Not bad for a first go, I suppose. Feel free to stick comments on, and I'm not going to do the whole like and share and subscribe thing because this is the first video and it'll only get seen by about 20 people anyway. But hey, gotta start somewhere.